Welcome into another Bully Ball. We are going to be talking Frank Gore's legacy as far as draft value, what did T.O. say about Deebo Samuel, and why George Kittle is absolutely set to feast once again in 2025. Stick around right after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That's Steph Sanchez. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only 49ers podcast that isn't upset that they weren't invited to Tight End U. Steph, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I'm great. I'm a little upset still that you left me with Rob last week. What was that about?
Joke never gets old. And look, we didn't even have to talk about it. You knew that was coming up. And I hope he flashes across the screen like you guys are jerks.
Laid it up. You laid it up for
me. Too easy. But look, July 1st. Veterans Report on the 22nd. We're getting closer. It's starting to smell like football again. Right? Tight end U's going on. We're going to talk tight ends and preview the position and basically talk about why George Kittle is still the best in the world. But some little tidbits that came out while we were gone. NFL.com, I believe it's Eric Edholm. He put together an article about the greatest draft values of each position this century. That's a lot, right? I'm thinking about 2025. That's a century, right? That's 100 years. We're good with math there. There was a certain 49er who was number one on this list. And for all of the discussion about running backs don't matter, you can just find them, the 49ers drafted Frank Gore in round 3, 65th overall. Think about that. In today's day and age, in 2005, he was drafted 65th overall. In today's day and age, how much people would go crazy because why are you drafting a running back? Why are you drafting a running back off of a devastating leg injury? Let's not bury the lead here with Frank Gore as well, too, right? That was a massive risk taken by Scott McLaughlin, right?
I think that's probably the whole crux of it, right? And why he fell to round 3 to begin with. I think these days, if Kyle Shanahan, takes a running back in the 3rd round, we're all kind of wincing a little bit and scared. Right. And I'm sure 49er fans at this point, I don't think I was really tuned in to 49ers as I was now, obviously. I don't think I was paying attention to the draft in 2005.
It was a tough time to be a 49ers fan in 2005.
It was. I did start watching shortly after that, but it was probably because Frank Gore did kind of, in his own way, make the 49ers interesting to watch again, right? So, a lot of memories watching Gore do his thing. He's, to this day, I think he's up there with Joe Staley. Those are my top 2 49ers of all time. And man, I mean, you could just say so many great things about Frank Gore. I know the other day we tweeted his rushing yards.
That's what I was just about to get to. Even
perfectly
in 16 seasons. What?
Wow, man! That's so crazy. And total yards from scrimmage, 19,985. Wow, it would have been great if he could have gotten over the 20K mark. Lord knows he could have probably played another year. And still started in the league if he wanted to. But it's just crazy, how long he played, till 2020? When did he retire?
Feels like he retired just last year.
Right? That's what I'm saying. So, and 99 total touchdowns. It's so close to so many numbers, getting over the hump. But I feel 16,000 for career rushing yards is a really great way to go out.
And I think it's important to contextualize other players' numbers with the different eras, not just the play styles and all those things, but they played 16 games back then. Imagine if he had an extra game to play. And Frank Gore never played in less than 13 games in a season. Coming off of that knee injury, right? A guy who everyone was hands off on because they said, man, we can't touch that injury. Literally was a football Iron Man. Would play every single game. Yeah, it's funny how the world works. But 16 seasons, 16,000 exact rushing yards, meaning, you don't have to be a math whiz, 1,000 a year. But the greatest running back draft value, it is hard to argue that there are only 2 NFL football players that have more rushing yards than Frank Gore. And, I thought it was interesting that you brought up Frank Gore and Joe Staley, right? And I think this is an interesting discussion because I kind of fall with almost anything, right? Where you're born, when you're born, your players are your players. So I was talking with my dad literally this weekend about, he shows me he's got this Joe Montana bobblehead, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, what do you mean that's cool? I'm like, well, that's not my guy. I was like, listen, man, look.
Cool.
I'm not disrespecting Joe Montana. Don't get it twisted. I'm not that old. Like, don't play with me like that.
He's not your guy. He's just not your guy.
He's not my guy. Steve Young's my guy. Jeff Garcia's my guy. Colin Kaepernick's my guy. Those are my guys. What do you want me to do about where I was born? Same thing like with rappers, right? Like there's this weird discussion about younger people believing that Jim Jones is more relevant than Nas. That is absolutely hilarious, dumb, and stupid in all that. But you can't argue with a 23-year-old about who they identify with, because even though Jim Jones is almost 50, I don't understand why this is like the discussion. But the same thing with the Yankees.
Yeah, there's so many like sport references you can make to this, like LeBron and Jordan, like so many.
Yeah, Babe Ruth hit 700 homers. Great. I wasn't alive in 1923. Who cares? 1961, Mickey Mantle hit, Roger Maris. I don't care. Derek Jeter's my guy. So it's funny that you bring that up, because it's the same thing that I was talking about with my dad. Is Steve Young's my guy. I respect what Joe did, but I wasn't allowed to see that. Don't do me like that. I'm not that old. But yeah, Frank Gore, absolutely one of our GOATs. The same thing, right? Jerry Rice is my favorite player. I was able to see him long enough, but Terrell Owens was my next guy. So pretty good little fun little nugget about Frank Gore. And, we'll take anything that we can get as far as good news, because, we're staying out of the way of bad news. I don't even want to bring up, the thing that happened with, exactly.
It's a nothing burger.
It's a nothing burger.
Worried about it.
100%. All right. But this is going to be a little bit of a gossip open, because Terrell Owens, who we just mentioned, had some interesting things to say about a former 49er who's an actual Washington Commander. And I guess two things before we play this clip. Steph, Deebo Samuel is a Commander.
Right.
Why do we have to talk about him anymore? Wish him luck. Thank you. Go on. Don't do too well, and don't beat us. Do great. But this mentality that I've seen on social media and from somebody like Tio to like kind of trash Deebo on the way out, it's just played out in my mind, Steph.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of people kind of trash talk Deebo a little bit, and it's not just 49er fans. Like, I'm seeing Washington Commanders fans, like, bring up
I seen it too.
He's looking slow, like, all the memes about the route running, the Drewski meme. What's the other one? Is it Big X doing or who's that? The one doing the Texas route. He's wearing the Texas jersey and he does a little. Who's that, Jay? I know you know.
Rob's gonna kill me because it's going to a second.
What? I can't hear you.
Is it Dave? Isn't that who that is? Is it? You hear me now?
Yeah. I don't know
Rod
who it
Wave?
Is it? Oh,
I think
okay,
it's Rod Wave.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense. That is hilarious. But like Deebo can't escape those memes and those references, and it's coming from all angles, which is, I kind of feel bad for him, because not only did he have enough to prove already just from like 49er fans and, all their opinions on him in the last year, but now you got to contend with all these other people saying the exact same thing, saying you're slow, you're washed, and all this and that. Look, I don't think Deebo is completely washed. I think there's some left in the tank. He's obviously slowed down. He's just at that age, but I think he's going to be able to be productive with the Commanders. I'm with you, Jay. I don't really care what he does, as long as it's not too good. And hopefully it's not too bad either, because I still want him to have his pride intact at the end of the season. Like, that's all I care about. But wow, Terrell Owens saying he bought 2 chicken nuggets from tipping the scale. That's insane. Funny, but insane.
Two lessons I want to impart on 49er fans about etiquette and how to dictate yourself. Ready? 1, We don't body shame. No reason to body shame anybody. There's things that you can't control. Like, listen, if I have a bad haircut and my hair looks bad, you can get on me because you know what? There's a barber that can fix it. Some people, they can't fix it. Me, I'm 6'5", but I'm at 195. I don't gain weight. I'm sorry that I'm so skinny. What do you want me to do about that, right? So we don't body shame. 2, I also want you to do this and stay classy. When you have an ex, when you break up in a relationship, you trashing that ex on the way out shows that you still care. How about you dictate yourself accordingly, show some grace, say thank you for the memories, thank you for the time, but we're moving on. I'm moving on. And what's next in front of me is going to be much more fortuitous. So this isn't about Terrell Owens, because it was during one of those Twitch streams with those young kids, and I know I sound like an old man saying that, that's fine. Like whatever. They were looking for a viral moment, and T.O.'s never met a microphone that he doesn't like. Let's just make sure we put that, I know a microphone hates to see T.O. coming. But for 49ers fans, 2 lessons. Don't body shame. 1, 2, act accordingly. Be classy. When you have an ex, when you have a relationship that's over, remember the good times and remember that the other good times are ahead of you, and do not trash that person on the way out. That's all I'll say about that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Third thing. PFF put out a really cool article today about safety blankets as wide receivers, meaning obviously when the chips are down, and the way that they kind of contextualized it was when a quarterback's under pressure, who do they target? What's the chance of them being targeted? Steph, if I had to give you one guess, who would be the 49ers pass catcher? Because I'm going to put that qualifier on it. Pass catcher that you believe was the most targeted whenever a 49er quarterback was under pressure in 2024?
Oh, in 24. I'm going to go George Kittle.
No, but good call. No, but good call. We're going to get there because we're talking about tight ends. It's a good call. And the reason that I bring this up is because I want to, we're talking about like numbers and how 16,000 for Frank Gore is such a insane number. George Kittle had 1 more catch than Jauan Jennings last year. 1.
Oh, Jennings?
1. Jennings. Jennings is the 7th most targeted wide receiver when a quarterback is under pressure or has somebody in their face. 18.8 threat rate. And I'll read it verbatim for the audio listeners. Jennings caught 16 of 31 targets for 188 yards and 10 first downs with 49ers quarterbacks under pressure. He hauled in 3 touchdowns, secured 5 of 8 contested targets, and had 5 plays of 15-plus yards in those situations. He owns a 68.8 PFF receiving grade on pressure targets over the past 3 seasons, having caught 35 passes for 378 yards. Jennings has gained 20 first downs, caught 4 touchdowns, and logged 11 explosive gains in that span. You know what's funny? Before last season, Jauan Jennings never had more than 39 catches. And I believe his career total coming into 2024 was 98 catches. 66 of those catches went for first downs. That is absolutely mind-boggling and jaw-dropping. It literally means when the money's on the line, and remember, his quarterback wasn't always Brock Purdy. So Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, when the chips are down, they go to Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings is the go-to money guy on this roster, right?
He's got that clutch gene, and every team needs someone who has that. And sometimes it's your best player. Sometimes it's your wide receiver 3, or in last year's case, your wide receiver 1 for like half the season, right? I mean, that's just the kind of reliability that he has. F it, Jauan Jennings is out there somewhere. That's just the mentality that 49ers quarterbacks seem to have when Jennings is on the field. And I mean, you see it. He kind of has that jump ball kind of ability. He can get yards after the catch. I mean, I don't know. He just has that knack for giving you that little extra to make the play, to move the chains. It's something really impressive. And again, like, you don't normally expect that from someone who's not your top, receiver. But Jauan Jennings has been that And let's not forget about Juwan Jennings, because clearly I did when I answered George Kittle, although I do think Kittle was a fair answer, but
I don't blame
Jennings
you
didn't
either.
even
This is a
cross
tight
my
end
mind.
episode. This is a tight
Jennings
ends
didn't even
episode, you know, and I think that's a good place where we can start. But before we get into that real quick, George Kittle's always been really good on social media, right? Like he's always good at, you know, like look. All right, Rob, cover your ears. George Kittle has a long-standing beef with Rob Stats Guerrera. That's pretty crazy, right? Like like him and Kittle have this like little like contentious like back and forth relationship a little bit, right? Like is that fair? Like I'm not saying anything other than that. That's it. But Kittle's always good on social media, right? And
he pops in, says what he neends to say,
and he dips.
Yeah,
and he dips.
It's always gold.
And he dips. And you know, look. Over the weekend, obviously, tight end U just happened in Nashville, and he's hanging out with Taylor Swift, and that's fine, obviously, because him, Travis Kelce, all those guys are. By the way, I don't like that the defensive line guys are trying to make their own. The sack summit. That's a horrible. That's horrible. Max Crosby, yeah. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Stop biting the style. Oh my God, get your own. Get off mine and get your own. My God, the Sack Summit's an awful name. They should have workshopped something way better. But he goes on social media. He shows that he's with Taylor Swift. The guy's a fun-loving guy. At WrestleMania, he's knocking people down. We love George. But George Kittle just fired off a tweet not that long ago. And George Kittle's quick to be like, hey, you said something and and it's not true. And I know it's popping up right now. So there's a fake quote floating around that George Kittle said, come say it to my face. We're about to embarrass the NFC in regards to people doubting Brock Purdy. Steph, we're as dialed in on this team as just as all these people that are watching. If George Kittle would have said this, it would have been everywhere. It would have been everywhere. This isn't something that like someone random person could just drop and people would be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Fine. George Kittle gets right under the tweet and said, I didn't say that. Can I read it real quick, Rob, if you go down? I did not say that, but nice try. My God. The amount of engagement farming. Listen, look. Steph, I put out my content earnestly on Twitter. And if it gets traction, it gets traction. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't necessarily put things out there just to get, I don't rage bait, right?
Yeah.
If it gets traction, it gets traction. The most I've ever made from Elon Musk and that app was $32. So you're willing to risk your reputation for $10, $15? Come on, man. It's nice to see that in your account out of nowhere, but come on, man. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, you know what's going to happen now. Now that George Kittle responded and that original post is going to get even more engagement, someone eventually is going to put the fact, what is it? What do they call it when you put the
community notes?
The community note. Someone's going to put a community note on there and you're not going to get any money off the post at all. So yeah, I love that George Kittle comes out for 2 occasions on Twitter. It's to say happy birthday to people,
random people,
and it's to say I didn't do that or that didn't happen, or just like correct people. Like he came to Debo's defense. We were just talking about.
Keep going.
It's just to correct people and say these things. So again, like he just pops in, pops back out, says what he needs to say. He leaves it. I love that. Like, I think we can all learn about George Kittle's social media, particularly Twitter presence. And, you know, maybe we should emulate that a little bit more.
Yes. And look, be like George, right? Pick and choose your spots. Your tweets are more impactful when they aren't compounded one on the other. When it's time to cook somebody, you cook somebody. And that's what George does. I'm glad you brought up the Debo thing, too, because that first clip that was around was, oh, well, Debo looks slow. And he's like, it's training camp. It's OTAs. They're not running. Like, again, 49ers fans, one more time. Just like you would if you were in a long-standing relationship with your ex, show some grace. Don't let them ever let them see you sweat. Say the right thing. Just keep it moving and everything. But enough about that. Let's talk about these tight ends. And I think before we talk about George Kittle, we should talk about Kyle Shanahan's master plan. You ready? You want to put the tinfoil hat?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. You bring in a Jaguars tight end that is a blocking tight end, and then you bring in the Jaguars backup quarterback. This feels like a time where when you need a money play, I'm going Mac Jones to Luke Farrell, baby, and I'm gonna set everything up. Obviously, we're having fun right now because there's not really much to talk about. But I mean, look, the Luke Farrell thing was a big contentious point, and I think we as 49ers fans and fans of this offense would love to see the 49ers run some sort of demon 2 tight end set with like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. Kyle Shanahan doesn't care about anything about that. Like, he did it the one year with Jordan Reed because he was there with him in Washington, and then Jordan Reed ended up popping, and he never played another down after. But Steph, there is no 2 tight end set. We might as well just give up on that idea. It's just done. Like, I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Do you think it's over, though? Because, like, I don't know. I haven't seen the 49ers themselves. Like, they're the ones doing the hyping up of Luke Farrell. Like, no one was excited about this signing when it first happened, but they're the ones who keep talking about him and saying all these things about, yeah, like, we finally got our T2 back. Like, we are so back. Chris Forrester said he's one of the best run-blocking tight ends he's seen in a long time. Shanahan specifically said after losing Charlie Warner, we hadn't replaced him yet. And
they hadn't?
Yeah, which is fair. But he said we thought we got one of the better blockers in the league with Luke Farrell. So again, like they're hyping him up. I think he's going to be on the field quite a lot. We know the role of the TE2 in this offense is to block for the most part. And, you know, they also keep saying like that's going to free up George Kittle. I do feel like they hurt us a little bit when we're pleading for George Kittle to get the ball more. and he did get the ball more in 2024, but we want to see more of it. Let's not stop there. Let's keep it going. So I do feel like that was somewhat the intention with Luke Farrell. And just going off of the names of the TE2s in the past, there's nothing sexy there. Like, I think the best name you said was Jordan Reed in 2020. In 2018, they had Garrett Selleck, who's okay from what I recall.
Selleck time.
Yeah, Selleck time. Ross Dwelley. Then it was, Dwelley time, right? And then it was Jordan Reed. They also had Dwelley and Warner that year. Then it was Tyler Kroft and Charlie Warner in 2022. Warner and Dwelley in 2023, and then Eric Sauber in 2024. So my question is, do we think that Luke Farrell can at least be better than Eric Sauber? Because
yes.
Yeah.
All right, but okay, it's the role, right?
Yeah.
Like the role, right? Like Charlie Warner, he couldn't catch anything, right? Like I was in Atlanta when Jimmy literally threw him the football and he was wide open 35 yards with no one around him because no one expected him to throw the football, which was like, okay, it's cool. It's like everybody's like, hey, I wonder if, he's going to run a route. No, he's not. And then he does. And then he drops the football. So I don't think Luke Farrell has hands like that, but there is a need for that in a little bit of a way, right? Like, and especially in the running game, right? So the Luke Farrell thing, it's pretty obvious that's what they want to do. That's what they're looking to do over and over is just have a guy like that. And you're right, they haven't replaced Warner since then. And if you don't believe me, believe how quickly the Atlanta Falcons jumped all over Warner when they had a chance to sign him. That this isn't me talking. Like the NFL is looking at his skills and they understand that, and there's a need in certain offenses for that. So, again, we want this. We think so highly of Kyle Shanahan and his offense that we want to see this Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski, duo, right? I know, right? Even saying his name is weird, right? But it's just I don't think that's something that they really want. Like Luke Farrell, like it feels like he might catch more passes. He might catch more passes for sure than Kittle. I think he's much more of a catcher of the football than Warner is. But that's not what they're going to use him for, like, at all. Like, I think that's really what they want to, go through. But with Farrell, I think the way that we should probably turn this is going to Braden Willis. And Braden Willis was somebody who, no. You no, listen. Wow, Steph. Usually, no. I'm not. Listen, I'm not trying to hype up Braden Willis. I'm just trying to.
Oh.
I just no. Whoa. Don't.
I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, so man, usually that's me. Like when somebody says someone who's like not a good football player, I'm just like, With Braden Willis, I think we all were under the impression that he would be the person that would take over the Kyle Juszczyk role. And, there was a time where he got a lot of burn during some. No, absolutely not. Take that down. Like no one.
For the audio listeners, it says, Jason Aponte said, Braden Willis season loading.
That's fake news. And that is absolutely not what I said. They don't know what they're doing. But with Braden Willis, yeah, you got it. Braden Willis is somebody that I think they still like, right? And that is somebody that is kind of interesting in the H-back role, in any sort of role that they can get him into. I think they really want to see about Braden Willis. I'm not saying that, again, for me, it's not that I believe Braden Willis needs to play a bunch, but I think they want to see. And I think that's what it's more about, Steph. And Jesse's saying, what Magic jersey is a penny throwback. Go ahead. Woo.
It's flame right there.
It's too hot to wear sleeves on the East Coast, man. Oh my God, man. It is crazy over here right now. If you don't think global warming is real, whatever, go for it.
Go to New York, I guess. But Braden Willis, yeah, like he's pretty young. I don't think like we had any super high expectations for him. He was a 7th round pick after all. But he is only 25. I think from what you're talking about, just him taking on the H-back role, I don't know if what we've seen from him in that role so far, and it hasn't been a lot, but like I do remember a few times where guys have been hurt and he's kind of had to play that a couple of times and it has not looked good. Also, he does get a lot of opportunities. Okay, I don't want to say a lot, but most of his opportunities, which are few, come in special teams. And it hasn't been very good with him there either. Last year, 157 of his 184 total snaps came from special teams. He had 2 special team penalties. So, there's just a lot of work that Braden Willis needs to do to be in consideration for any expanded role. And I would like to see it. I want to see that for Braden Willis, but he definitely has to show it. Being at TEU is good. He needs the extra time.
Was he there?
He was there.
All right.
There. I think all the 49ers tight ends were there.
They better be.
I don't know if Jake Tungus was there, but
oh man, doesn't want to compete. That's it. Let's start the
scared to compete.
Scared to compete. Let's start the narrative. All right, that's it. Get him off my team. I don't like Ross Dwelley went, and whatever. We'll good.
So that's where I want to go.
Go for it.
Because I think Ross Dwelley is somewhat an underrated signing, and just hear me out. I'm not saying he's.
Can I ask you a question real quick before we start?
Yeah.
Did the Atlanta Falcons sign Ross Dwelley and Charlie Warner last season? It was both
it last
of them.
Season or was it the year before?
Because he wasn't. I don't know if he was in a league. Yeah, I mean, listen, it was inconsequential because they have another tight end over there that they can't get the football to for some reason, whatever. But I think it was both of them. Rob, if it was let us know, whatever. If not, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say you're right. And so him coming back is a bit of an underrated signing, in my opinion. Not that he was earth-shattering at any point. There's a reason, the 49ers let him go to begin with. And he was most of the time a TE3, I think. And at some points he was TE2. But him coming back, I think, is great for the team, just given the fact that they brought Luke Farrell into the building. I think Dwelley now being your TE3, you don't have to depend on guys like Braden Willis or Jake Tungus to do something, especially Braden Willis, because he hasn't proven that he can do that, right? So I think having someone that's experienced, that already knows your system, has already proven he could play within it, is good. So if Luke Farrell had to go down, I wouldn't be panicking if Ross Dwelley has to come in and take some of those TE2 snaps. It's not ideal, but like no injury is ideal for any starter in the NFL most of the time. So I just think it's, oh my goodness.
Yes, get her. And for our audio listeners that are that don't see it on the screen, Steph Sanchez says Ross Dwelley season loading. Yo, Rob's on a heater right now. Keep going, Steph.
He is actually, man.
And both players were signed by Atlanta last year. I did get that correct. Atlanta was just scooping up all the 49ers tight ends. They might as well have just signed Cam Latu.
I know, right? That's the one. Okay, I'm not even gonna say anything about Latu because then
why? What is there to say? Did he ever like what is there to say about Cam Latu? Did he ever did he get a jersey?
I don't.
Did he get a jersey?
Banner. I don't. I don't want to get the banner that I'm saying Latu season loading. All right.
Did he get a jersey? Did he get a locker? Like I don't remember.
We digress. But I mean, what are your thoughts on Ross Dwelley coming back? Like, I do kind of feel like at least the top end depth is slightly better than it was last year.
Look, the thing is this, and this is something that whenever like we want somebody for the 49ers, whether it's a pass catcher or a tight end, the first question is, can he block? Oh, he doesn't pass block. He doesn't run block. Explain Ross Dwelley. Explain it. So, like this is what kind of pisses me off when it comes to this discussion. Oh, we can't sign him because he doesn't run block well. Great. Maybe he's just really a pass catcher, and maybe you should just use him that way. Like, what is this? Like, what is this emphasis on? Hey, he has to be able to do both. He has to be like, what are we talking about?
Only George Kittle can do both really well. Like, and he's a unicorn.
Thank you. Like, they don't ask Brock Bowers to block on all the running plays. They don't ask Trey McBride to block on all the running plays. So, what if, and this is me in my crazy mind, right? What if maybe you just use players for what they're good for? And Ross Dwelley is a good receiving tight end. No problem. But stop telling me that you need the pass block to be in this offense. Explain Ross Dwelley. He's going on his 8th season here. Like, what? They can't quit the guy. So when I bring up, hey, I'd love to sign Elijah Moore. Can he pass block? Who cares? Maybe don't use him that way. Who cares? Maybe don't use him that way. I don't understand that part. I'll never get that part because everyone swears that you have to do both. Charlie Warner could only run block. He couldn't catch anything. But one or the other, that part infuriates me because it'll be anybody. I'll be like, hey, I'd love for the 49ers to explore, signing Elijah Moore for $3 million. Well, he can't run block. Who cares? That means that then don't put him out there to run block. Put him out when it's time for him to run passes. I just find that so funny, and that's what Ross Dwelley is. But look, if Ross Dwelley is forced into a, wide receiver only, pass catching only role, he's fine. They didn't ask Jordan Reed to run block. They weren't like, Jordan Reed, get out there and we're gonna run block. Like when he was out there, they just said, hey, listen, this is what he's better at, right? So the idea that that any sort of pass catcher or anything has to be both is impossible for you to, it's impossible to happen. And I just think that it's an oversight. If Ross Dwelley's going to be a guy who's going to sit on the practice squad, nobody's going to say anything about him. And if God forbid something happens to George Kittle, he has to catch some passes. I feel fine with that because it was literally a time when all he did was catch touchdowns, right? Like from Jimmy Garoppolo during that time. By the way, Jimmy, still miss you, buddy. I just want to piss Rob off. But yeah, like the whole I love pissing Rob off talking well about Jimmy Garoppolo. But like I despise that discussion because it's like, oh, can he run block? Who cares? If he can't run block, then don't put him out there to run block. Maybe his value to your team isn't that. And if somebody's really good at run blocking, don't send Charlie Warner out on routes because he can't catch anything. He's got hands of stone. Just use guys for what they're good for. Imagine that stuff. That's a crazy thought.
And yeah,
this is a good one. Read this one. Read this one.
Revolutionary. Jason Aponte says, let players do the things they're good at. I mean, if Jason Aponte was head coach of the 49ers, he would simply play the
We
best
would-
players.
We would have
At
already
what they're
won
best
3
at.
bowls. We would have already won 3 bowls. We would have already won 3 bowls. We would lead the league in
At least.
offense. At least 3 bowls. We would have finished that one in Vegas if I was there. Woo! I would
It's
have just
rocket
been
science, folks.
I would have just been more hammered than Kyle that first night.
That I believe.
That I believe is crazy, by the way.
Oh God. But thankfully the 49ers do have a tight end that could do freaking everything well. And there's a reason that he's on the field like
Let's talk about
all
him.
the time. Let's talk about him. Let's not bury the lead any further for Mr. George Kittle. There's a reason that Rob Gronkowski, when he was asked this week to rank tight ends in the league right now, very quickly answered George Kittle number 1. There's a
Easily.
reason for that.
Yep.
Easy decision. And last year, 78 catches. Only year he had more receptions was in 2018 and 2019 when he had 88 and 85 respectively. I would like to see over 80 this year.
Easy.
That'd be great. Let's do it.
Do 100 targets finally.
All right, Coach Jason Ponte right here. he's got it. He's got it. 1,000 and 106 yards for Kittle last year. He's topped 1,000 yards 3 other times in his career: 2018, 19, 23 last season. 8 touchdowns. The most touchdown he's had in a season was 11. And I had a show on George Kittle yesterday, actually, about him being in the GOAT discussion at some point. Like, we think he's on pace to get there, right? So that season where he had 11 was 2022, I believe. It was.
Yes.
It was the year that
They lost to the Eagles in the NFC
Okay,
Championship.
well, that's not what I was gonna say. But
I mean, but I was just trying
That's the way
to.
you remember
But
the year.
see, all right. So, but you know what? When I remember the year, I just
Wow.
remember how it ended. Like,
Oh,
that's it.
God.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
bad
sorry.
for you, man.
Sorry.
I feel sorry
God.
for you.
The
I-
last game lingers with me.
I remember that as the year that wasn't that the year that Brock Purdy
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember?
okay,
So,
Brock Purdy.
2022
Purdy
started. 2022 started
It's
with
Jimmy.
Trey Lance in the rain, and then no. Was it 2021?
I'm about to
2021
say,
was
what a year, if so.
2021 was Jimmy in the rain. I mean, Jimmy in the rain, Trey in the rain, and then he broke his ankle in week 2. No, wait a minute. That is 2022. So 2022 was
Come on, guys, get your history straight. Trey
What
Lance
is it?
was drafted in 2021. He began 2022 as the starter.
I had it.
Rookie season.
I had it. Thank you.
I have the
It's
memory
good.
of a goldfish, so don't.
No,
ask.
so look, so you start the game in Chicago, right? The
That's
rain game.
nuts.
He breaks the ankle in 2022 in the second game against Seattle. Jimmy comes in. Jimmy breaks his ankle and his foot against the Miami Dolphins. The rest is history, and Brock Purdy's our franchise quarterback. There you go. See, I had it.
Kyle Shanahan should have won Coach of the Year that year, by the way.
2022. Yeah.
Should
Yeah,
remind you.
because
Just
Kevin
remind
Stefanski wins Coach of the Year when he has to play 7 quarterbacks, and everybody's like, "Oh, how cool!" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like Kyle's done this over and over. Now, whether you want to blame Kyle for the guys getting injured, that's another thing or whatever. But I wanted to point this out to you, Steph. So, 94 targets last season. In 2018, he had 136. He had 88 receptions, right?
Mhm.
That's about 50 targets that fell. Again, remember, it's CJ Beathard, it's Nick Mullins. Those are your quarterbacks in 2018, right? And then you have a little bit of Jimmy at the end, but, whatever. It doesn't matter. The success rate is what I want to point at. 73.4% success rate is the highest in his entire career. 94 targets, 78 receptions, 1,106 yards, 14.2 yards per reception, 8 touchdowns, 50 first downs. Steph, I got to say this. I know that there was a season in which George Kittle broke the record for the most yards by a tight end, and then it was broken by Taylor Swift's boyfriend. But this is the best football that George Kittle has ever played his entire life.
He's
And
peaking.
how are you peaking at 31 is what I was trying to say.
It's insane. Only George Kittle can. That's why you got to use him. Lean into it. I mean, he's showing you what he still has. Keep going. As part of like yesterday's show that I did, I asked ChatGPT to project like the next 5 seasons. I'll just say what the projection was for 2025. It was 75 receptions, 1,050 yards, 7 touchdowns. Now I want to ask you, Jade, over or under?
Over. Listen, you want my official George Kittle prediction? 375 receptions, 12,875 yards, and 38 touchdowns. Book it. Best tight end in football.
I mean, if Jay was a head coach, like,
listen,
he'd
look,
had that yesterday.
Let's all right, but let's seriously talk about why, even in this season, right? Going into this season, I think it's especially imperative to make sure that George Kittle's the number one guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're yelling about watching other teams spam their tight end, right? The Kansas City Chiefs have made a living throwing the football only to Travis Kelce, right? Even especially after Tyreek Hill left. The Raiders throw the ball to Brock Bowers every single down. If it's not him, it's Jacoby Myers. Kyler Murray throws the football to Brock Bowers more than he throws it to Marvin Harrison. I'm tired of watching other teams spam their great tight ends, knowing that there's a tight end that's better than them all that you have, that you should be peppering with targets. Now, look at this season. Brandon Ayuk's probably not going to start the season. And even if when he does come back, you still have to let him ramp up, and you still have to you can't just, let's just say he has a 4-game PUP stint and he comes back. You're not going to expect him to automatically just run with it, right? Jennings has been great. Keep using him the way that you're using him. But my goodness, man, please, Kyle, look at me. And I know you're watching, buddy, because, you know, you got some time off and you love the Gold Standard Podcast Network. My God, Kyle, can we just draw up 4 more targets a game for George Kittle? It's not a bad thing to try to get it's not a problem to try to get the ball to the best pass catching option on your team. I promise you. You know, Julio Jones talked about something that was really kind of divisive, you know, in which he said, I can't believe that I only got 4 targets in the Super Bowl. Brandon Ayuk piggybacked off that. We're not going to talk about all that because it's going to bring people to be mad at Brandon Ayuk. But I just think in the biggest moments, I'm going to go down swinging with my best option every single time. Like, I don't want to look up after a big game and see a L and look and see George Kittle had 3 targets. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry. Look, even if it's a matter of, hey, they're taking this away and we have this and that, try. Look, I mean, just try. 4 catches, 36 yards against Kansas City in the Super Bowl that the last time in Vegas. 2 catches for 4 yards is unacceptable. Unacceptable. I don't care what the defense is giving you. You're telling me there's no way that you can find a way to get him the football in creative ways. Look, I have a few complaints with Kyle Shanahan. I'm obviously a Kyle supporter. But my goodness, man, in the money moments, I want to go down with my money players, and I will die on that every single time, and I'll go out swinging every single time that way and feel really good about my chances.
Yeah. George Kittle needs to be that guy. And yeah, like you mentioned, all the opportunity that he has to be that this year, just like it kind of fell that way, you know, last year for the 49ers offense, for it to revolve around George Kittle, and it needs to. Again, not because you need to, but because he is good enough. Like, he is so good that you have to, like, you should want to. Like, come on. It shouldn't be that difficult. And I want to ask you this, Jay, kind of a little fun exercise. So, you know, George Kittle right now is number 3 in all-time receiving yards for the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Owens, 8,572 yards.
Insane.
Kittle needs 1,193 yards to pass him up. We know he'll do that eventually. My question to you is, do you think he does it in 2025?
How many?
1,193 yards.
He doesn't. You know why?
No.
I mean, look, I want him to, but he doesn't. Christian McCaffrey's back. And I just have a feeling that no matter what's going on with the injuries or anything like that, Kyle is just gonna, hey, he's fine. We're rolling. 300 touches.
He spams CMC.
And
That's a spam player.
if CMC is even 70% of what he was in 2023, you can guarantee that he's going to spam him as much as he can. And I do think
I know.
there is a little bit of the offense that was left behind when he wasn't there, because everyone always throws around, hey, the checkdowns and all that stuff. It's not checkdowns. It's design routes for Christian McCaffrey to get in on linebackers. That is a big part of what they want to do. And I feel like they call those plays when they know their offensive line isn't holding up, because those are quicker developing routes and Christian McCaffrey can get those yards after the catch. If he's even 70% of what he was in 2023, you can take it to the bank that Kyle Shanahan is gonna spam him a little bit more. Now, I do think that while Christian McCaffrey's there, there's still room for more targets for George Kittle because Deebo Samuel's not here. And there's always been an emphasis on making sure that Deebo Samuel was involved, got the ball, was touching the ball. I think it's two things. I think one, it's Kyle Shanahan's desire to exploit those mismatches, and also two, is to keep Deebo Samuel engaged in each game. Like listen, if he's not getting,
I know it's just crazy.
If he's not getting the ball, he's not going to be running. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I can't.
That's what
can't figure out why Deebo's not on this team anymore.
So, I think that there's a little bit of that where it's like in 2021, it didn't matter. They just spammed Deebo Samuel, and God help us, thank God that they did, because they had us minutes away from going to a Super Bowl. But there is a little bit of placating Deebo to make sure that he continues to play hard. So if the ball does go his way, he's not completely checked out. And also, Kyle Shanahan wants to make sure that, he likes the mismatch, and he still has visions of him running through defenses with the wide back and everything. And I feel like we talked about Deebo more than we have George Kittle here.
I know.
But I do think that while we're talking about Christian McCaffrey being back and his involvement, Deebo Samuel's involvement in this offense not being there, it will kind of loosen things up a little bit more for Kyle, who doesn't have it in the back of his mind that he has to keep Deebo engaged.
Yeah, true. And Rob dropped this stat in our chat here. In 2023, 25% of total targets went to running backs. Most of those, of course, going to Christian McCaffrey. That's an insane stat, but I mean, yeah, we saw it with our own two eyes. They spammed the hell out of McCaffrey. And yes, I know they're going to do it again. But I still think with that, there is opportunity for the passing game to funnel through George Kittle. And I think that it should, because he is so talented. And I do kind of feel it is imperative if Kittle's going to be in the GOAT discussion, people aren't going to care about the context of, well, he was so great, but he just didn't get the ball enough in Kyle's offense, or he was just such a great blocker. Yeah.
They're not going to shoot him grace for that. They're not going to shoot him no bail for that.
Kyle, help your dude out. Like, let's get him up there, because we know he has the talent to do it. And honestly, like, he's not that far off. He could probably get within that top 5 range by the end of his current contract.
You cited Mike Clay's stat projection, right? What you think? What's the over under?
No. That one came from ChatGPT. I literally just asked ChatGPT to project the next 5 years. Here's
how we'll fix this one. This is what Mike Clay's prediction is from ESPN, and he has him for 17 games, which I see as an absolute win. That off the rip, like him playing every single game. 106 targets, 82 catches, which would lead the team. He would have 10 less targets than Jauan Jennings, but he would have more catches than Jauan Jennings.
It's fine.
1,048 yards to Jauan Jennings, 1,040, 7 touchdowns, over under.
I want to say over. Like,
that feels right. That feels right.
Over, Jay. Like, you don't understand. Like, we gotta just start speaking this into existence.
Mm-hmm. That feels right. That really feels right. So in this prediction, right, and this projection, I should say, Jauan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall play 17 games. For some reason, he has Brandon Ayuk only playing 9. So let's say he's just figuring it in conservatively that he's going to have, 8 games off for a PUP. And I love Ben Ali's, because she's absolutely right. No, we want Kittle to play 16 games because the Niners are resting everyone in week 17. Absolutely right. Remember, 20-0 Super Bowl, never a doubt. But here we go. 116 targets for Jawan Jennings, 76 catches, 1,040 yards, 5 touchdowns. 103 targets for Ricky Pearsall, 67 receptions, 964, and 4 touchdowns. But here's the weird one. Brandon Ayuk would be there for 9 games and only get 45 targets. Steph, I don't know if I'm opening up 45. I don't know if I'm opening up a can of worms here, but if Brandon Ayuk comes back for 9 games and only gets 5 targets, I'm upset about that as well.
Yeah, I'm like trying to see how it breaks down. I mean, 17 games, obviously, that's a big chunk compared to 9.
And Demarcus Robinson is not playing 17, so throw that out.
Yeah, I don't think he will either, unless he knows something that we don't.
Yeah, 5 targets a game is very low for Brandon Ayuk. I would hate for that to be the case.
Yeah, I would hate that. I mean, because that means not only does he come back a little later than maybe we're expecting, but it also means he's not back to performance right away. Like he gets out of the gates real sluggish and still getting back to 100%, like which would not be ideal. I don't know if he's basing this off of what the offense and Brandon Ayuk looked like, in 2024, like when he came back late and started that season really slow. But I would have bigger predictions for Brandon Ayuk. That one scares me a little.
If he only got 5 targets and he ended up with 28, 435, and 2 touchdowns, those better be the most impactful 28 catches I've ever all of those catches better be in like the biggest moments when you gotta have it like that. That's the only way that I could see myself clear of looking at that stat line and not being absolutely completely worried going forward. 45 again. If Brandon Ayuk is back 9 games, 5 a game, that is not what I'm paying for. I mean, I'm not paying for it, but that's not what the 49ers are paying for. I mean, that's just...
Look, and not to shift it to fantasy football, Mike Clay I know he does way more than just fantasy football content, but a lot of that does, inform fantasy football decisions and ESPN rankings. There is a chance you could get Brandon Ayuk for a pretty decent late round steal this year, and it'll pay off for you in the end because, I don't think he's going to be getting 45 targets this year. It'd definitely be more than that.
And I don't think he's just going to play 9 games. I'm buying the dip all day. I'm buying the dip all day, right? Like he's in an area with other players in fantasy where the upside is just too high for me to ignore. Like I love Josh Downs, and that's the only other player that's going on right now, like in his range in ADP that I think I'm in on, just because no matter how bad you think Daniel Jones is, he supported 3 guys last year that were like high up in fantasy points per game. But if you're looking around at those names, of course I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk and take a chance on him because the upside is too great, and I think too much of him as a player. So, it's your fantasy football talk. Steph, thank you for a great show. I know we agreed. We agreed 35,000 yards this year for George Kittle. That's just figuring conservatively. We're going all the way up this year. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network, wherever you get your audio podcast. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. My goodness. And Steph, it's good to see you. We're close. We're very, very close. We're really close to football being back and tracking training camp stats, and we're gonna be so back soon, man. Oh my god! And having people argue about what really happened and what was there. People who don't even know what they're watching and people that do. Like I'm living for this time. Enjoy your July 4th weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy your family and everything as well too. Go hit some barbecues. But for Steph, for Jay, we're out here.
Peace.